am Dolly Curtis, and I am with Reverend Craig Reynolds in Easton at the Congregational Church because I live here, and I drove by, Craig, and saw this fabulous scaffolded project, and I wanted to share it with everybody in the area, in the southern part of Connecticut, tell them what's going on.
Well, we're thrilled that you took an interest in it. It's an exciting time for us as we restore this beautiful edifice and maintain the legacy that has been provided for us, not just for our church, but for our whole community.
You know, this is one of the nicest looking churches. It's really very, very New England looking church, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and come about the first week of October, there will be traffic jams at this intersection as folks stop to take pictures with the leaves turning and this beautiful white building. It is kind of a Norman Rockwell picture of New England.
I thought I was the only one that knew about that and took those pictures. I took those pictures every year with the phone.
No, they do every day. They do almost every day, and I come out and make sure they know what time church services are on Sunday.
So it's Route 136. That's where we are.
Right, and Center Road. That's right.
Center Road,
yes.
And the church has been here a while.
Oh, the church has been here a long time. This particular building was built 165 years ago. The church itself, the organization, dates back 236 years. But this was not the original structure, though interestingly, some of the beams in this building came from the original structure, so we really do trace ourselves all the way back.
Craig, so this wasn't the original church then?
Not the original building, but many of the beams in this building were preserved from the first building, and so we really do trace our origins to that original building that was here, as is required in order, back in those days, in order for a town to have a separate identity. There had to be an ecclesiastical society, and there had to be a willingness to provide for the education of the children. And so with the old academy across the street and the church here, this was sort of the origins of the community.
And it was one of the crossroads, and still this is, you said?
Absolutely. I think it's the crossroads of Connecticut, not just the crossroads of Easton.
And you said it was our mall because we have our...
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, and the truth is, at rush hour, morning and evening, you know it's the crossroads.
Boy,
it continues to be so to this day.
Now, right here, we have our little one-room schoolhouse, and we have the Samuel Staples Academy.
Yes.
Or the Staples Academy,
yes.
Which is now the church hall.
We use that and also for our educational activities for our Sunday school, and then also the Old Academy Nursery School, which meets here daily. So that legacy of education continues in that building all these many years later.
And the whole center, all of the buildings here, the post office,
oh, yes.
and the little shop that we have at Dick Reiser's store.
Yes.
So we have our little center.
Absolutely.
Well, you ought to take up just 1 minute and tell everybody that you lived in Maui, in Hawaii, and did your work there.
We did. My wife and I lived there. And interestingly, though it seems so far away, of course the early missionaries came from New England, from many of these churches right here in Connecticut. And so there are very close ties between the churches in Hawaii and the churches of New England. And in fact, many of them you would find they have very much the same architectural style. And so in many ways, the churches of Hawaii, the Congregational Churches of Hawaii, are more similar to the New England churches than to any others.
Well, I visited, my family lives in Maui, which I was telling you, and I visited a building there, an art society, that was the exact same architecture that I grew up in Westchester County, New York,
yes.
with the same hardware, bathroom fixtures, windows, roof tiling, and the whole construction was the same. So is that maybe why you could go 6,000 miles? And
absolutely.
I see.
One of the interesting things, those early missionaries went out to Hawaii and sought to minister to the whole person. In the first missionary contingent, there was a minister, a doctor, a teacher, a farmer, and a printer. They were trying to minister to the whole person, and that's very much a New England tradition. And so you see the ties that go across many miles in an entire ocean.
But we're really happy to have you here.
Well, it's nice to be here. I was fortunate to attend Boston University, and so though I grew up in the Midwest, New England is also a home for me.
So you now have lived in several parts of the country.
That we have, which is kind of an occupational hazard.
Well, we're happy to have you here. It's nice
well, we're
to have
so
someone
nice.
that's so smiley.
Well,
Anyway.
it's a joy to be here and an honor to be the pastor of this church.
Now, I have come many times to this church for events. People ought to know that they have a beautiful open sing fest, like a Christmas caroling song fest, but it's we can only seat about 100.
Oh, no. We've put 280 in there.
For this December,
Oh,
when the
Christmas time,
Treslas
absolutely.
and the families come and do the
Absolutely,
beautiful singing. There-
We do believe that we're here to serve the whole community, not just our own church. And so one of the things we can do is make the facility available for activities that enrich the whole community.
Well, they're beautiful weddings here. I've seen and have been at one or two beautiful 50-year celebrations too. But wasn't the church used for soap opera scenes a few times?
That
Were you here?
that was before my time, yes.
I was here.
Oh, you were?
Right. What happened was somebody who lived in Easton was on one of the soap operas and traveling from Easton to New York every day for the work. And then they needed a few wedding scenes. And
Oh, yes.
several times they've used this church and brought the whole crew here, the
Oh, yes.
acting, and the whole thing was happening here.
Yeah,
See, this church is really very well known. Didn't you say yourself that somebody told you, or someone in town told me in Litchfield County, they told him that that was the most photographed church in Connecticut. And then they said, but there's another one in Easton. And they were referring, I think, to this one.
I think so too. And as I say, you come in the early autumn and you would believe it.
Yeah, I know. I just thought that was my little secret.
And a whole lot of folks think the same thing.
Oh, okay, then I'm going to let everybody just think that all those photos are this, they're precious. little items.
Absolutely.
Well, we're happy to see this all happening because it means the church will be another 100 years
Oh, at least.
at least.
Absolutely.
Holding
And
up.
we're very excited about it, and we hope folks will come by and see it as it's completed, and I think they will be as happy about it as we are.
So if they wanted to come and see the inside, because it's just so nice inside, it's so beautiful and plain, is it something if they came to the church hall?
Well, that's all we would ask is because a member of the staff is over there every day, and we would be more than happy to make sure that they have access to the sanctuary. So they'd be, we'd love to have it. We'd love to have folks come and see because there are elements of it that would show them what it was like many years ago.
So if you're on the crossroads now, we're talking the crossroads
Absolutely.
of Connecticut, on Route 136 coming from Westport to Easton, as you climb this hill, there's no way you could miss this church. You are invited to stop and ask in the church hall across the way, which used to be the school, if you could come in and see the sanctuary.
Oh, we'd love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Reverend
Dolly.
Craig Reynolds. It's
Thank
a pleasure.
you.
I'm coming to see you some more.
Wonderful.
Plus we're neighbors.
We look forward to that.
Okay. Hi there. Hello. Hi, I'm Dolly Curtis.
Hey, how you doing?
And I wanted to catch you all before you stop for the day and just tell me a little bit about this project. So can you stop for a minute and join me? Oh, I couldn't help but, tell me your name again.
Oh, my name's Patrick Bresnahan.
Hi, Pat.
How you doing?
I couldn't help but notice this 80-foot scaffold that we got going on here.
Yeah, it's quite a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so I wanted to know if I could stop everybody today, and they gave me permission. What's your name, sir?
My name is Bill Pandopoulos.
Hi, Bill. And yours?
Ryan George.
Hi, Ryan. So this is a beautiful landmark in Easton, this church, and what exactly is the task involved here?
Well, basically, we pressure washed it with a dirt detergent and bleach solution, and we grinded it all down and sanded it, and then we primed it up with a heavy-duty oil primer, and we're in the process of reglazing all the windows right now.
Oh, that must be a pretty big project, because aren't those windows the real, are these the real old windows here, like the,
It's the antique glass, yes.
and they're 12 over 12? Or?
Yeah, 12 over 12, and we're going to go replace all the broken glass as well and put antique glass back in.
So they're really bringing it back up to snuff. And what about up on the top? I saw you were all working way up high today on the steeple. What's going on up there?
We sprayed that one with oil-based primer, the top.
And was it in pretty good condition, or is some of the wood neat? I mean, it's so much once you start. You could
Well,
go
we
on.
had to re-nail a lot of the slats up there. You know, it's really old, but it came down really well after we sanded it. We re-nailed all the slats, and we just got done priming it this afternoon.
You spent 4 days sanding?
About 4 days sanding up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine, because I see it's all these little details, all these little pieces.
A lot of detail work up there.
And once you start, if you started replacing those things, I mean, I know you had to, at some point, you just do as much restoration as you can do when you're painting.
Yeah, then you got to caulk everything and make sure all the gaps are filled, and you want it pretty much watertight the best you can.
You think it's going to make another 100 years?
I hope so.
I mean, it's been here probably 200 years. And I'm going to find out soon, but I'm sure it's been here a while. So
Yep, it hasn't been painted in a while. The bottom part has been painted, throughout the years, but the top was in the serious need of work.
the upper
The upper
areas.
steeple.
I was going to ask you about that. Every year around Christmas, or maybe every other year, the New York Times has a picture of this church. You'll
Oh,
be
yeah?
very proud now next year, and you'll see this. And they pulled a picture out around Christmas week, and they just use it as a Christmas picture.
Nice, yeah.
Because it's not just us that know about this good-looking church, other people. Well, I want to thank you for stopping and working, because I know that you start early in the morning and you've been putting in all your whole day, and I'm going to just enjoy myself and learn more about the history of the church.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
With me is Phil Doremus, and he is a very popular and active man around Easton. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Dolly. How are you?
And he's going to shed some light on the history of this wonderful church, the Congregational Church. So could you please?
Sure, I'll try to, Dolly. The Congregational Church was formed in 1762. It was actually the beginning of the town of Easton. In those times, the ecclesiastical society, or a group of people that wanted to be recognized as an ecclesiastical society, would petition the state legislature, the only government, for permission to create a community. And when they had enough members or enough people in this part of town, they petitioned to break away from Weston and become Easton. Originally there was Norfield, which was the north part of Fairfield, and in 1762 there were enough farmers that did not like the long trip to the Norfield Church, and they petitioned the society for permission to have their own community.
Okay,
And
so
this-
we were originally this part of the Norfield Church
yes, we
on
were.
Norfield Road? Or?
Well, that was the church for Easton and Weston were Norfield, and that was the church where we would, or our members would have attended, or our citizens would have attended. And back in those times, there were pretty strict rules about attendance in church on Sunday mornings.
Okay.
One of the benefactors of the area is Samuel Staples, as you know, and people in Easton are familiar with that name because the local school was named for Samuel Staples. He gave 4 acres of land as a site for this church to be erected, and we're standing on that land right now. He also was very supportive of the educational system and was aware of the need for education, the youngsters in town, and donated the funds for the construction of what was known as the Staples Free Academy. That building is across the street. It actually was erected some years after the original church building was erected, and placed on part of that 4 acres of land. The Staples Academy, as I understand, was the second oldest free academy in New England, or
Really?
possibly in the country.
We have people in town who went to the Staples Academy.
Yes, the Staples Academy was incorporated over the years as part of the Easton school system, and it became sort of the high school for Easton. There were elementary schools dotted around the town, local in easy walking distance for the youngsters, but the Staples Academy graduated into being the more
The
sophisticated school.
upper level school. I know that John Stanzik went to the Staples Academy, and Charlie Lasky and
Yeah.
Paul Molina. So
Yeah.
we have several people.
There's several people who are members of this church attended that Staples Academy. I know I've heard John Broadbent or Charlie Lasky tell the story about one of his jobs as a youngster was to come to school early and light the fires. So the school was warm, and Charlie lived just down the street. So
On Lasky Drive?
on Lasky Drive, just a little less than a mile from here.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a historic spot, though, because we have the church, the Adams Schoolhouse that's been moved
The Adams
to this
Schoolhouse.
spot. To this spot.
That's correct. There's a post office across the street, Easton's only post office.
We love it.
No, it's fun. It's more than a post office. It's the meeting area.
Right, it is.
There are a series of jokes, as you well know, about it's Town Hall West, or it's where the real that community over there, the post office and the little general store where the decisions are really made.
That's for sure. I love it. And even my cameraman, Vic Cromwell, comes and they have special stamps there. Maybe
Yeah.
they have more maybe things available because there's maybe less traffic. I don't know why.
Well, it could be. They
wonderful.
wouldn't be bought up as quickly, I suppose, as some of the commemorative stamps. I know that when the Helen Keller stamp was issued, Helen Keller lived a portion of her life in Easton,
Right.
just down Route 136 from where we're standing. There was a very busy first day cover
Yeah.
and commemorative stamp business at the local post office.
Oh, we also have Greiser's, not store. We have to be sure to, and that's all part of the post office
Oh,
building.
yeah, Greiser's store. The post office is housed in the Greiser complex.
Complex.
And Dick Greiser's father was the postmaster in Easton for a long time, and it's now regular postal employees are manning the store, but it's Dick's interest, in addition to having a general store with food and sandwiches, he's resurrecting his antique business recently. So
And I think it's great. And now I heard it used to be a Grange hall up above. Did you know that they used to have dances and Grange meetings?
I
up?
knew there was a hall up above, and the story is that the original meeting of the Easton Volunteer Fire Company took place in the second floor of Greiser's store. There was a Grange hall in what is this church's parking lot off to the
Oh,
west.
there was a building here?
There was a building here, and it burned to the ground. And that's when the Grange decided to build the building they have now. They had until recently on Center Road, when as Easton's farming interests and farming community dwindled, there were fewer and fewer Grange members, and the Aspetuck Masonic Lodge
I see.
purchased the Grange.
it. So the Aspetuck Lodge was the Grange.
Is in the Grange
The
building.
Grange building.
And it served other community uses. When I first came to town, the Grange Hall was where the Catholic Church services were held. The Notre Dame of Easton Church started down the road the other way in the basement of the Grange Hall. It's interesting that this church was the center of government, and also its benefactor was the one who made us able to start the school system, and so there was that sharing. And now there was a sharing between the Grange Hall and the Catholic Church, sharing of the post office and the
And this Greiser
Greiser
store.
store.
You had told me that this church building actually was a government center or something, or
but
not actual government center.
Well, actually, it was the center of the government. The town meeting, as we understand it today, was you needed to be a member of this church to be a vote in the town at the town meeting. It was voter registration was much different from what it is today, and certainly in 1762, we weren't a country yet.
So the separation of church and state, which is how everything is done today, with even no prayer in school, that's all been much more recent.
Well, it's an outgrowth of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that the freedom of religion was also meant that you separated the religion from the government.
But originally, you were saying all the communities had to have a church and provide an educational in order to become a town, in order to have
Yes.
a political center.
Yes.
It's so interesting. So tell me besides being a member, do you have other things that you do here at this, so much about the church?
My family and I have been members here for quite a while, since the early 50s, and have served in, I guess, almost every capacity that the local church government itself. Now, not confusing it with the town government, but it's the church is still run in a very democratic fashion. We have our membership votes on almost all decisions, and I've worked as a trustee, the buildings and grounds kind of person. I've worked as the clerk, keeping the records of this church. I've worked in various other capacities. The Board of Deacons, which is in charge of the religious aspects of the church.
So 50 years, though, you're saying your family has been very active.
This the church renovation, which which we were talking with Craig about earlier,
Right.
has taken place at least twice since my family
Yeah,
has been
can
here.
you tell me a little bit about I lived here when there was another restoration in the church, maybe 10 years?
In 1985 and 86, the church undertook even more major renovation than what you see here today. The most of the paint in the body of the church was stripped to the bare clapboards, and the church was painted. There were some much needed repairs done to the steeple. The steeple had begun to lisp to the west, and that was shored up. And the interior of the church was entirely, I won't say redecorated, but repainted and restained. So to maintain the and return it to its either stark or very plain, but appropriate
Right.
condition.
It is lovely. And so many people choose to use it too for weddings. Not
Yeah.
just those television soap
No,
operas coming up. But
that was an event.
that was an event.
An event that brought us a certain amount of notoriety, and none of it bad, but it was interesting to watch the tourists come to watch this filming.
So what they did is they filmed a wedding here for the soap opera.
Yes. As the world turns, there was a need for a wedding, and they needed this a beautiful autumn setting, and this is for a couple of days they worked here, filming both inside and out of the wedding of two of their cast members.
I sure hope they had you around though to watch everything was done.
I think the only job they gave me was to make sure the neighbor's car wasn't moving at the wrong time.
Oh, no speaking part though.
No
No speaking part.
In looking through some of the records, Dolly, when I heard you were going to come, that I found that about 90 years ago this church was painted, and
90 years ago,
Well,
that was the.
well, no, but it
And then 10 years, and then 85.
Well, it may have been painted in between, but
right.
it was just interesting that in 1890, whatever it was,
Right.
The cost of the painting job was about 1/60th or 64th of what today's painting
So
jobs
what
cost.
did it used to cost to paint a church? $800?
$240.
$240. It's like about 10 cans of paint.
Yeah, that's right. Things have changed, but Easton has changed too.
Yeah, and boy, are we changing right now. We're in another period of great pace.
One of the things that, as I live near the church, one of the things I notice, and I don't know whether your viewers can hear in the background, is the amount of traffic on Route 136.
We're so sorry about that, but we can't change that. It seems to be overwhelming us, all the traffic coming along Route 136.
It caused problems for that soap opera filming. They hoped to get the soap opera filmed during the daylight, but worked here until 2 or 3 in the morning with lights, auxiliary lights, to make the interior of the church appear to be daylight, because the noise, the traffic meant that they could not film at the certain hours of the afternoon.
Well, it just is so much more traffic than anybody could imagine. This little hamlet.
Yes, it's amazing.
And it's because people want a nicer way to go home from the Merritt Parkway, and this takes you across.
Yeah, and I know, as I say, I live up the street. At 7:30 in the morning, it's taken me 20 minutes to get out the driveway.
Amazing.
But
I know.
it's I suppose it maybe the centers of commerce move, and rather than everyone traveling the north-south routes to Bridgeport, they're traveling diagonally to Westport and to the railroad.
Crosswise.
Yeah.
Because you had said most of the traffic over the years was north, so that's why we have Route 59 and Route 58
Yes.
that went to Reading, that went to Danbury,
Danbury, yeah.
and Newtown, Route 25, but there seems to be a lot of traffic coming.
This is a shortcut between the two of those routes. Yeah.
And we have some really nice historic buildings along Route 136, and we even have a historic designated area.
Yes, Aspetuck Corners
Right.
is a historic designated area, and a great deal of that restoration or that protection was done by a man named Gustav Pfeiffer, who took an interest in the beautiful homes in that area and was able to restore them and make them available to his friends. And it was also a benefactor of the town. He was one of the 2 people who gave the funds for the original town hall.
Really? So, in other words, that's the Aspatuck area,
Yeah.
which where the beautiful Lindquist home and Jessica Tandy and
Yes.
Helen Keller. We've had
Helen
some,
Keller
and
was there.
even the Gish sisters, I understand, rented a house right in that area in the summer when they were in the Westport Playhouse.
Oh, that one I hadn't heard.
That's really true too.
know.
I have learned about that, and there's just a lot of. Dan Rather lived here for a little while, and
I remember when President Eisenhower was looking for a retirement home before he decided on Gettysburg, there was rumor that maybe Aspatuck Corner would be an appropriate place for him.
oh, so I'm glad it has been designated historic because we have some beautiful. We have a little swimming area and a nice little park and. The Bluebird Inn,
The Bluebird
people
Inn.
know about that. It's
Yeah.
a nice place to come and meet friends and have something to
And
eat.
the wonderful view along Route 58. Where
The reservoir.
Where the reservoir is, with the aerator or fountain or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And it is a beautiful area.
It really is. And if you follow Route 136 till before it ends, the Gold House up at the top, that used to be the tavern, right at Adams Road and
Well, you'd have to go to the end of Route 136 and take a right.
go down a little ways.
Yeah, the Gold House. There was a
What's the
house
tavern?
that was the Adams Tavern, I believe. It is on the corner of 59 and Adams Road. So it was there are lots of very beautifully and carefully restored buildings sprinkled around.
So that's why people travel Route 136 rather than the Merritt Parkway.
I think that's probably a pretty good reason.
Well, I hope the other churches in town, we have how many in Easton? 6?
6, I believe.
I hope they won't be angry at me for specially giving this attention to the Congregational Church today, but it's not every day you see a scaffold that's
No.
80 feet high.
That's right.
And Steve Zakos, who's in charge of the work part of this whole.
Yes,
He is an Eastonite
he's an Eastonite and a member. Yeah.
and a member of the
Member
church,
of
and
the
he used
church.
to be our selectman for quite a few years.
Selectman for quite a few years. Yeah.
So I'm sure the job is being done with kid gloves because it's all part of a big family.
Yeah, we keep an eye on keeping him.
Keep an eye on Steve. Well, I'm just happy to find a nice summer afternoon that you were free and to meet.
Well, I'm glad you had a chance to come and visit us, visit with Craig, visit with me, visit with the workers.
Right,
It was,
and to meet the Reverend Craig Reynolds. That was interesting. Who's come all the way from Hawaii to Easton,
That's quite a trip.
and we're happy to have him. And so we got to thank Victor Cromwell, too. I feel like this is the Oscars, because if it wasn't for his time doing the camera work and the editing, we couldn't do these little local shows.
I'm sure.
But here we are, so thank you so, and
Thank you, Dolly.
people drive by, they'll just know that they'll have this beautiful landmark to look at for the years to come.
Okay.